Authorize the Director of Health and Human Services Agency to, 1, coordinate the Crossroads Turning Point of Arnold, to plan, develop, and manage a Mental Health Services Act housing program with the goal of providing a supportive housing program for adults with serious mental illness who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness. And 2, negotiate an agreement with Crossroads Turning Point of Arnold, which shall be reviewed and approved by the Board of Supervisors for the provision of services required to carry out and manage the program once developed.
This item was pulled by the public.
I had several questions about this item. Does this program also, besides mental health problems, deal with people with physical disabilities? And are we talking about a short or long-term housing program or facility that would be in the county, or would it be farmed out to a neighboring county? And how much is the allocation? How much money are we talking about that could possibly be put into this program? And from what source would this money be obtained?
Mr. Lawless. Morning again. John Lawless, Behavioral Health. This grant is for specifically mental health issues. It can't be used for disabilities or any other situation. It's been earmarked by the Mental Health Services Act of 2004 to be specifically used. Just as a little bit of history, we've gone through many processes to try to get this money in the county. It started out through Cal HFA, who was going to administer it, and then they finally gave the money to the counties to do individually what they would with it. This is the third time we have gone out with an RFP for this, and this was the only applicant that we've had for it. So that's where we're at with that. It is a transition house. We're not intending to put folks in there and leave them for years and years. We are trying to transition them out. One of the principles of the MHSA housing program is the least restrictive environment. Some of these folks need help becoming stable, being able to get out on their own. We are hoping that once this RFP is approved, we'll be able to meet with Turning Point and come up with a plan of transition as well as job training, trying to get these folks as well as they can to get them back into the community. None of that has been done as yet. That'll be the next step if this is approved. The dollars, as I said, come from MHSA housing. They're set aside for this purpose. And that's based on the 2004 housing proposal here. And currently, as far as dollars go, there are about $570,867 that are available for this. There's over actually $600,000, but we have set aside $70,000 to help pay for rent subsidies, to get folks into a home, to help them pay for a home if they're having a difficult time with that. So I think that answers the questions that were raised. Are there any questions from the board?
No questions from the board. Any further questions from the public?
I just have a quick follow-up question. There's over $600,000 available, and $70,000 has been put aside for housing needs. Is the rest of that money, the rest of the $570,000, is that for administration of the program, for the office people? I mean, I'm trying to decide if we've got over 600 and only 70,000 is going to the actual workings of the program. where the rest of that money is going, and I hope it's not all going into administration. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Newman. Well, let's address that question first.
Kristen Brinks, Health and Human Services. So to answer Ms. Newman's specific question, no, this is to bring to the board a conceptual approval to enter into negotiations for a contract which will be brought back to the board for a supportive housing program. That is not administration. I mean, yes, that's part of it, but we're talking literally the development of a program, of a physical location to actually provide supportive housing in combination with job skills training and other types of services for our severely mentally ill clients. The $70,000 that was set aside is for another specific transitional program, rent subsidies types of things. This specific 570 is to create, the intention is to create a physical location that can serve our severely mentally ill clients and would be in the county somewhere. But again, this is just the approval of the RFP to then start the negotiations of what it would actually look like.
Thank you. Ms. Underhill?
Yes. Good morning again, Bertha Underhill, and I am absolutely thrilled or pleased to hear about this proposal. In my 30 years up in Ebbets Pass, we've never had something like this, and I happen to know Larry and his wife Colleen, and I know their sincerity, and I'm just so pleased, as I say, to hear that this thing is getting off of the ground. I know people who are personally involved in the transition, and this is what we need. Wake up.
Thank you, Ms. Underhill. Folks, guess what? We can't slap the podium.
Hi, Cliff Edson. Hey, I also agree with this agenda item. Turning Point was a great help to us in the Butte Fire. They housed many people for us, and they cooked meals and did a lot of things for people that were victims. I haven't met them personally, but I heard many great things from a good number of people that experienced what they were doing for us. So they're into it. They're into our community. I believe this is a really good choice by our Health and Human Services folks.
Thank you. Mr. Fry?
Good morning again. When Proposition 63 was approved by the voters in 2004, I was elated. I was fortunate enough to serve on the California Mental Health Planning Council for 12 years, and that was just an amazing day when that got approved by the voters of California, which taxed the people that made over $1 million a year. Any money over that $1 million would go into the Prop 63 fund, which eventually became the Mental Health Services Act. And the $600,000 that our county got wasn't really enough to do anything with anything. And I'm glad, but I'm sad that it took so long for that money to be used for something. We couldn't build any housing for people who were challenged, and which was really unfortunate. I didn't realize, and maybe it's something new, that they're able to set aside funds to do other projects. Turning Point in California has a really good reputation, and I'm glad they're here in California, here in Calaveras County. So I just really support this program. based on my experience on the California Mental Health Planning Council and also my 12 years on the board at Calaveras County Mental Health program here in the county. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments on this particular item? Bring it back to the board discussion. I do have something to say. I am personally familiar with Turning Point and how it's progressed since its inception in the Arnold area. I am personally acquainted with the owner and his wife. They've done an outstanding job. They are very fine citizens. And having said that, I need to make a disclosure that they are friends of mine. I think this is a good move for Calaveras County. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Supervisor Clapp to approve.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Tofinelli. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed indicate by saying no. Unanimously passed 5-0. Madam
Item
Clerk?
14 is from Code Compliance to adopt an ordinance superseding and replacing the current Chapter 8